Welcome back in everyone for another SnowRunner truck review. Today we're going to take a look at the newest 8x8 addition to the off-road class vehicles added here in Season 10 British Columbia. So before we start, I ask that you please help support the channel by liking the video and subscribing to the channel as well. Alright, so without wasting any more time, let's jump into this and check it out. In response to the US military's needs, Mack Defense manufactured the M917A3 heavy dump truck. Having a gross vehicle weight ratio of 94,500 pounds, the Mack was designed to support heavy off-road missions. Outfitted with a Mack 13-liter engine, Allison transmission, all-wheel drive, heavy-duty rear axles, increased ride height, and an armored cab, it made it well-suited in many environments. In the game of SnowRunner, the M917 makes its appearance as being more than just a heavy dump truck. It's quite strong, very maneuverable, and set apart from normal North American trucks in the game currently. So without giving too much away here, let's jump into this and check out the bad news while the base stats are shown for you on screen, starting off with the downside beatdown at the number 1 spot, small tires. Not a big surprise here seeing a 47-inch tire on a North American truck, but then again, a lot of trucks with 47-inch tires do quite well. However, in these following points, you'll see how these first two downsides add up to a major red flag that I hope gets remedied. Downside number 2, clearances. Our number 2 downside surely is the most performance inhibiting of them all. Now before I get comments on adding a 50-inch tire or using an active suspension for additional clearance, hear me out here. An active suspension will not elevate your axles and the collision model is still there. 50-inch tires, however, will help a small bit, but even trucks with 69-inch tires, as the Kenworth, with its current collision model, are still getting hung up in places. For example, the Azov 5319 is a very formidable off-roader. It has 50-inch tires and its collision model is superb. If it was given a realistic one, such as the Mack Defense here, its performance would be very similar. Essentially, this all boils down to our downside at number 3. I believe it's outperformed by its peers. The M917 has plenty of great upsides, as we will learn. Yet due to its collision model, it's getting hung up on not just roots, rocks, and bumps, but also trails with deep ruts such as in Season 10. Even in places of moderate mud, the Mack is just accumulating so much ground resistance from dragging its frame through the elements. This effectively leads to being bogged down, of which I've seen this scenario quite a bit. There are just so many off-road class trucks, and even heavy-duty trucks as well, that I believe do significantly better in those areas we just explained. Downside number 4, fuel consumption. Next up, we must cover the painful high burn values that American trucks seem to be plagued with in SnowRunner, and here the Mack is not excluded from that list. Having a very large fuel tank helps, and the roof rack is also very nice, but sadly, it can chew through all of that reserve very quickly. The Fuel Miser engine isn't much more efficient for the trade-off of 10,000 torque, but using the multi-purpose gearbox, which we will learn later, could help with this as well. My proposal would be to allow to have a switchable all-wheel drive to allow some type of fuel savings. And finally, wrapping up our downsides list here at the number 5 spot, saddle location. Being a low saddle enjoyer, upon inspection of its saddle position, I was rather disappointed. In short, its saddle position is not far enough aft to mitigate collisions with semi-trailers. In its current position, cresting hills will render the vehicle unable to steer. It reminds me very much so of the Fleet Star with a low saddle. So for the sideboard bed hitch trailer enjoyers, you're safe here, but there might be collisions with the sideboard bed trailer, making the flatbed trailer a better fit in my opinion. While we have only 5 downsides and I dumbed down some of my nitpicking, I do believe though that these are the biggest downsides that drivers need to know about. So anyways, let's get started on talking about some good qualities, shall we? Coming in at upside number 1, power, all-wheel drive, and differential locking. Being very brief here, at 232,000 torque, this truck now has the highest torque in its class, allowing it to pull some weight. Add in always-on all-wheel drive and a switchable diff lock. In scenarios it's not plagued with an overwhelming elements in the game, the Mack feels very strong as shown here in these clips. Upside number 2, weight. Truly, I was not expecting the Mack Defense to be anywhere near as heavy as an Azov, but indeed it is just slightly lighter than the Azov 64131. Understanding how well the Azovs operate, we kinda see where the potential could be for the M917. Upside number 3, custom tires. There are not a ton of tire options for the Mack, which I could have added this to the downsides list, but really I don't believe you can go wrong here with either using the custom Mack tires that are slightly wider than the traditional single narrow tires, or just use the steady OHS2. When comparing both sets of tires, I believe the OHS2 is the better choice due to its ratings. While the custom tires do have a tad more width, I don't feel it's going to be enough to keep you from sinking down to your frame. So to wrap this one up, just use whatever you feel comfortable with. Upside number 4, custom gearbox. While the other gearboxes don't seem to have much difference than the normal gearboxes in the game, the multi-purpose gives drivers an option for fuel savings, but it also retains a high gear option for this type of gearbox, which is a pleasant surprise. Also, it only has 2 low gears, low and low minus. Personally, I think these are great options for drivers. Upside number 5, versatility. Forgive me for being very brief here, but the Mack necessarily doesn't have every add-on in the game. However, it doesn't have many add-ons missing aside from the inability to use medium logs. In truth, I think it's very, very versatile. And finally, coming in at the number 6 spot for our pros list, stability and durability. Upon inspection of the M917's weight characteristics, the weight looks set relatively low, allowing it to retain balance better than most American trucks. But please don't forget that add-ons diminish stability. Overall, I believe it's a stable platform. Now, to touch on durability, another reason to use the highest performing engine is its impressive damage tolerances. But I halfway expected this being a military truck. 2 things I might add here is it's very agile and maneuverable, which feels really nice to drive, especially when you can trust its balance. And lastly, its suspension could be independent, but I believe its properties really aid in its ability to balance. So in conclusion, the Mack Defense M917 is a strong vehicle, and it's quite versatile as well. Its appealing upsides sadly seem to be overshadowed by the things we mentioned on our downsides list. So what are those huge concerns? Well, just like I said on my Kenworth review, most of its issues go away with a better or unrealistic collision model tweak. With that one change, this truck's performance would drastically increase. It's very frustrating to get stuck multiple times on one delivery through moderate and bumpy conditions. So what are my personal thoughts on the Mack M917? Well, I still feel that it's a strong vehicle with all that knowledge that we just laid out here. And I will absolutely continue playing it because I've been waiting to play this vehicle for quite some time. Now, if I were to rank this truck as is, it probably sits in the A tier. However, if a collision model does change in the future, then I think it would be in the S tier for sure in the off-road class. So, in closing, the Mack Defense M917, in my opinion, is a very welcomed addition. It possesses good balance, great durability, great power, and add-ons to be very useful for drivers. I believe drivers can mitigate its downsides by straddling deep trails and also dodging obstacles. All I know is I'm getting back to hacking the mission on Season 10. Try this one out and let me know what you think. I really hope this review gave you a fresh, new perspective of the Mack Defense M917. Please smash that like button, share the video with someone who is currently struggling with the game, and subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless, and stay upright.